We're kicking off today with WWE Smackdown as the show's first 3-hour episode of its new era saw a new women's champion crowned in Tiffany Stratton. The 3-hour format has so far been met with a mixed response by fans, but as the third hour began, Nia Jax put the title on the line against Naomi, with the crowd hoping for a title change. Stratton was conspicuous by her absence backstage before the match, and Nia asked Candice LeRae to look out for Bianca Belair during her championship match. There were several near falls in this match, and when Naomi hit a move off the top rope, it appeared that she'd win, but that's when Stratton arrived with her briefcase. Tiffany teased cashing in, but instead blasted Naomi with the briefcase, allowing for Jax to get the win, but after the match, Stratton attacked Candice LeRae with the briefcase. Meanwhile, Bianca Belair nailed Nia Jax with her finisher, and after cashing in and hitting the prettiest moonsault ever, Tiffany Stratton ended Nia Jax's time as women's champion. It's now Tiffy time, and there was a ton of pyro as Stratton celebrated, and this marked the first Money in the Bank cash-in on SmackDown since Carmelo cashed in back in 2018. This was a perfect example of a cash-in with plenty of exceptional storytelling, and the swerve of Stratton helping Jax win just to cash in was a great addition to this angle. In her first update after SmackDown, Stratton shared a TikTok with a voiceover stating that, "My New Year's resolution is to keep my foot on these bitches' neck." WWE desperately needed a big moment for this edition of SmackDown, and it shows the skills of the women involved that the big moment went to the women's division, not the men. So Tiffany Stratton is now the new WWE Women's Champion, and the timing of her monumental Money in the Bank cash-in this week is no coincidence. Sources who spoke to PW Insider confirmed that Stratton's cash-in had been planned for weeks, but WWE kept it closely under wraps in order to maintain the element of surprise. The decision for her title win to come this week was designed to make a major splash for the newly extended SmackDown, as well as be a huge moment for the USA Network and Stratton. But what did you think of Tiffany Stratton's cash-in of Money in the Bank? Are you excited to see what the new WWE Women's Champion does? Share your thoughts on this in the comments. Paul Heyman was on the 3-hour edition of SmackDown and didn't hold back during his comments about the Bloodline ahead of the Tribal Combat match this coming Monday. Before Heyman came to the ring, fans saw him backstage, and whatever reason, Heyman seemed scared to go through the metal detector, though it's unclear why. Interestingly, this segment backstage finished with a zoom-in on the WrestleMania 41 logo, with some seeing this as a tease that Heyman will have some big role to play this April. Heyman said that Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa weren't welcome in the US, while Jacob Fatu wasn't welcome outside the United States prison system. Heyman said true Tribal Chief will be decided on Raw when Reigns battles Solo Sikoa, and recalled both himself and the OTC training Sikoa to be the next Tribal Chief. Sikoa was supposed to be Reigns' replacement, but only when Roman was ready to step down, and things changed after Reigns lost to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40. Solo came out and demanded that Heyman hold the Ola Fala next week, and threatened that when he wins, he will own Heyman, who would never go against the NYE family. There was an interesting moment when Heyman counted to 3 using the same hand gesture The Rock has been using, leaving fans to wonder if Heyman is aligned with the final boss. But what did you think of this segment? Who do you see winning Tribal Combat this coming Monday, and what role will Heyman play in that decision? Share your thoughts below. SmackDown kicked off with Cody Rhodes, who was ready to start the new year on a high note, saying that WWE is on the cusp of changing everything in the world of pro wrestling. Rhodes spoke of this show being 3 hours and Raw going to Netflix, but shared that due to recent attacks by Kevin Owens, he's currently not cleared to wrestle. Rhodes was interrupted by Drew McIntyre, who hugged his former tag team ally, and Cody's reaction made it clear that he was on the receiving end of a hug from the Scotsman. McIntyre praised this era of WWE and Rhodes' role as the quarterback, but claimed Cody was about to screw it all up and offered to watch the back of the American Nightmare. Cody didn't buy this and accused Drew of just wanting a shot at the title, but McIntyre instead walked away and told Rhodes to watch his back. Immediately after, Kevin Owens attacked Rhodes, kicking off a brawl that required Nick Aldis and several officials to split, in a tease of what's to come at the Royal Rumble. It's certainly interesting that Owens and McIntyre were both in this segment, and could it be that Owens was the one superstar who reached out to Drew as previously alluded to on Raw? Backstage, Rhodes was frantic in his hunt for Owens, but was met by an infuriated Aldis, who took issue with Rhodes for brawling, despite convincing Nick to book the ladder match. Aldis argued that Rhodes was not thinking of his future or WWE's future by brawling when not cleared, and ended with an ominous warning to WWE's top babyface. Aldis said that since Cody isn't looking out for his best interests or those of the company, Aldis would do it for him, adding another layer of intrigue heading into the Royal Rumble. What do you think Aldis meant by this, and where do you think Drew McIntyre will fit into things as we draw closer to the Royal Rumble? Let us know your ideas and predictions below. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, we're looking ahead to next year's event as the 2026 Royal Rumble Premium Live event is coming to Saudi Arabia. PW Insider reports that the deal has been finalized with an official announcement potentially coming as early as this Monday during the premiere of Raw on Netflix. Fightful Select later confirmed that the Rumble in Saudi Arabia is the plan, and while no specific location is confirmed, all signs are pointed to Riyadh as the host city. Sources add the site layouts for the event have been in development for months, though there's currently no word publicly on how the show will look when it takes place. WWE is currently in the middle of a 10-year agreement with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and under this agreement, WWE has produced 12 PLEs and 2 TV tapings in the region. Turki Al-Sheikh, chairman of the Saudi General Entertainment Authority, recently told ESPN that both his country and WWE wanted to enhance their deal. At the time, Al-Sheikh said he hoped to bring the Royal Rumble or even WrestleMania to the kingdom, and now the Saudi Entertainment Authority has fulfilled half of those plans. WWE certainly doesn't hold back with its Saudi shows and expect a Royal Rumble bigger than ever before next year when the popular Premium Live event heads to the Middle East. Back to SmackDown, and Michin defeated Piper Niven in a match that clearly put Michin back in contention for the US Women's title and a rematch with Chelsea Green. It's been reported that WWE are considering Green vs. Michin for Saturday night's main event later this month, and is this a match you want to see? Let us know down below. There was a backstage segment with Sami Zayn, the Usos, and Carmelo Hayes, but Sami walked away before the Usos were confronted by Kevin Owens. This was a great little bit of storytelling, as it means Sami and Owens have yet to meet face-to-face on TV since Owens turned heel on Cody Rhodes for teaming with Roman Reigns. Many fans have questioned why Owens hasn't been going after his best friend, who also teamed with Reigns, and Owens has said that he'll deal with Sami at the right time. Fans are interested to see when that'll be, but for the time being, WWE is keeping Sami and Owens apart on TV, meaning it won't happen just yet. Owens warned both Usos to watch their back, echoing the warning Drew McIntyre gave to Cody Rhodes earlier in the night, and the Usos and Sami Zayn were in action during the main event. The OG Bloodline members battled Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu, and McIntyre emerged during the contest, again suggesting that he and Owens know of each other's plans. Jay took McIntyre out with a dive, but the distraction proved costly, as it was the new Bloodline who got the victory during the first SmackDown of 2025. The match saw Solo Sikoa get the win for his team with a pinfall over Jey Uso, and SmackDown went off the air with Solo and his Bloodline standing tall. This was a needed win for Solo, who, despite booking, is still seen by many as the underdog going into Tribal Combat, given that he'll be facing the often protected Roman Reigns. Do you think Solo's win on SmackDown is a sign of things to come, or will Reigns prove himself to be the only Tribal Chief on Raw? Share your thoughts down below. Before SmackDown, Nick Aldis shared that both members of the Street Profits had re-aggravated previous injuries during recent live events and will be out for the foreseeable future. Instead of the Profits, DIY defended their tag titles against the Motor City Machine Guns, but it was Pretty Deadly who made the difference by saving Gargano from the Skull and Bones. Los Garza then attacked Pretty Deadly, clearly taking exception to the English duo claiming they had attacked the Profits weeks ago, when all signs point to it being Gargano and Ciampa. Garza and Pretty Deadly fought their way into the ring, and though Chris Sabin appeared to be closing in on the win, the match was called off, meaning DIY retained the gold. In non-title action, US champion Shinsuke Nakamura faced Andrade in a match that highlighted the skills of both men, who are two of WWE's unsung heroes. Though a non-title match often means the challenger wins, setting up a potential title match down the line, this wasn't the case this time, as Nakamura got the win over Andrade. After the match, LA Knight attacked the man who took the title at Survivor Series, and on the mic, Knight vowed to be around every time Shinsuke Nakamura is around. This all helped set up next week's title rematch between the two, which explains why Andrade lost, as the focus right now over the US title currently doesn't concern the AEW alum. That's something of a shame, as Andrade is approaching a year since his return to WWE and, outside of a speed title reign on Twitter, is yet to hold gold in his return to the promotion. Who do you see leaving next week's SmackDown with the US Championship? Will Knight retain the gold, or should Nakamura keep the gold? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. And that was this week's episode of SmackDown, the first of a new 3-hour era, and WWE held nothing back in ensuring a show for fans to remember. The highlight of the night was, of course, Tiffany Stratton's cash-in and title win, something that audiences have been waiting on ever since she captured the briefcase in the summer of 2024. Stratton wasn't the only notable player on this show, as WWE effectively wove new intrigue into the WWE title picture with Nick Aldis' threat to Cody Rhodes. The teased Drew McIntyre-Kevin Owens alliance is making a title change at the Royal Rumble seem more possible than ever, even if many believe Rhodes will walk into WrestleMania with the gold. Lillian Garcia was also announcing during SmackDown, confirming reports of a swap between Raw and SmackDown, meaning that Alicia Taylor will be announcing on Netflix. The addition of a blue ring mat was an interesting choice for SmackDown, and we'll have to see if this is a permanent fixture or just a one-off to mark this special show. It also begs the question as to whether we'll see a red ring mat for Raw, as this week's stacked SmackDown was just a precursor to what'll be an even bigger event on Netflix. But what do you think of the 3-hour SmackDown? Did it live up to expectations? And what would you change about the show? Let us know what you have to say down in the comments. Now, when not appearing in movies or beating Cody Rhodes to a bloody pulp, Dwayne Johnson serves as part of TKO's board, and his role saw a major update this week. Johnson recently acquired an additional 96,557 shares of TKO stock, boosting his total number of shares to 289,673 since he joined back on January 23, 2024. TKO stock closed at $142.40 per share on January 3, 2025, meaning the final boss's stock is worth over $41.2 million. Though questions remain as to Johnson's role ahead of WrestleMania, he remains a fixture of WWE's corporate side and is clearly committed to his role as TKO board member. It was only a few weeks ago that WWE announced its transfer window, which will allow for talent to move from one brand to another. Already, we've seen talent appear on other shows, but despite the window branding suggesting this is a limited time situation, WWE has now seemingly changed their minds. In an update from Fightful Select, these crossovers will reportedly become a regular occurrence as WWE retools its rosters now that SmackDown is a 3-hour show. This means that there's no actual end date for when the transfer window will end, and instead of talent moving from one show to another, they're simply appearing on multiple shows. Drew McIntyre is a prime example, as he played a crucial part on this week's SmackDown while also appearing on this week's Raw, and he'll also be on next week's debut on Netflix. The report also adds that WWE plans to scale back on dark matches at SmackDown tapings to accommodate the extra hour of live programming, but what do you make of these changes? Who do you want to see appearing on more brands going forward? Let us know your picks for the transfer window in the comments section. Over to AEW now, as Darby Allin has huge plans to climb Mount Everest this year, and his climb would have happened last year if not for an injury he sustained in the ring. On the Under the Ring podcast, Allin gave a glimpse into his training and shared that breathing is a big part of his training, as this simple act will be much different when on a mountain. Allin has been able to hold his breath for over 3 minutes and said that Everest is some of the hardest training he's done in his life, but it's also been amazing to push his limits. Climbing Everest is not something to take lightly, as over 320 people have died on the mountain since records began, many of whom still remain due to the dangers of removing their bodies. Darby Allin has said he plans on planting an AEW flag on Everest's peak later this year, and will continue to follow his training ahead of the biggest risk-taking stunt of the AEW star's life. We've got an update on Charlotte Flair, who missed all of 2024 due to a knee injury, but as of late, more reports have come out teasing that her return is coming soon. In the latest update, Fightful Select reports that those backstage believe Flair will be back sooner than later, though no one is placing bets on an exact date just yet. There's been speculation that Flair could return on Raw's Netflix debut or at the Royal Rumble, especially as she's been factored into WrestleMania 41 plan. Last month, Zero News reported that Flair vs. Tiffany Stratton was the plan for this April, and with Stratton now holding the gold, a pursuit of the title could be Flair's return program. Flair took to social media this week to further tease a comeback as she shared a photo from training alongside Cassie Lee, aka Peyton Royce, and said they're choosing to be IICONIC. Do you want to see Flair versus Stratton once the Queen is back? Would the Royal Rumble be the right way for Charlotte to return? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And we're ending with SmackDown as the excitement didn't stop after this week's show went off the air in Phoenix, Arizona. After the main event, Cody Rhodes arrived on the scene to stop the new Bloodline from delivering an attack, and there was a hilarious in-ring moment with Jimmy Uso. As Tama Tonga realized he was surrounded by his enemies in the ring, Jimmy grinned like a madman to spook Tama Tonga, and there was also some celebrity involvement after SmackDown. Once Tonga had been sent from the ring, Rhodes invited actor Vanessa Hudgens, a known WWE fan, into the ring, and the High School Musical star, alongside Cody and the Usos, shared a yeet. With such a huge show, Hudgens wanted a close look at the first SmackDown of 2025, and the crowd in Phoenix had a full night of excitement both during and after the Blue Brand.